Here's a spice that you can add to your food and it will improve your life. And so will this one, and this one, and this one. I traveled halfway around the globe to find it. Pile of it. 35 spices. Isn't this amazing?
It's very expensive and we have it in Morocco.
With 8 other spices, if you start mixing it into your diet, you'll have a more holistic way of eating. This place is full of it. And it will definitely improve your life. Stone Age Man. Awesome. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Are you a teacher?
So I am a teacher. I truly believe educating others about the natural wonders of this world is the best thing I could possibly be doing. I've been finding unique plants, fungi, and even animals that people can appreciate for almost 30 years. We just made it to Morocco, and this is...
Welcome, I am the brother, Mr. Robert.
just invited me to eat tagine.
Yes, exactly.
I love it. My adventure to find these spices begins here in Marrakesh, Morocco, a desert town of almost 1 million people. The spices are here in the old town, which is just past this massive mosque. You go up the narrow alleyways, past the cats and more cats. There are so many cats. And then to this main opening here. Main open area is right over here, the main market. And there's lots of people with snakes and monkeys and chameleons. And then if you want to go into the shops, they actually dive in through these little narrow channels in through here. I actually found a hotel, a riad, where I could get a good rooftop view of the plaza market down there. So I could get some good time lapses, and it would also help me introduce to you why I picked these spices. They're things that have been used by humans for centuries. In fact, most of them are spices that are used all over the world every day by lots and lots of people. They are not pharmaceuticals. They're not things that big pharma is pushing on you. And the cool thing is that not only do most of these spices have great flavors that you can add to your foods, but they do now all have scientifically proven benefits. I have found that improving your diet is really important. Now, I didn't know this when I was younger. I came from a Midwestern family where I didn't eat that great. I worked out a lot, but somewhere in my mid-30s, I started feeling not so great. I couldn't sleep so well at night, feeling maybe stressed. So I went to the doctor and I filled out a little form, and the doctor said, "Oh, Rob, looks like you have depression," which I did not have depression, but they gave me a benzodiazepine. Now, if you don't know what benzodiazepines are, this is the whole list of common names of different types of benzodiazepines. And sure, they worked at first, worked for me, until 6 months later, I had to keep upping my dose, and then it didn't work. And then COVID hit, and I ran out of one of my prescriptions, and it got really, really bad. These chemicals are not like the spices I'm going to show you. They can have serious downstream consequences. And I think what frustrated me more than anything is that the doctors didn't really ask me any questions about my life. This is very common. You go in, they're not going to tell you how to eat better, how to eat healthier, how to improve your exercise, how to get more nature immersion. These are all things that I am trying to get across with the Stone Age Man ethic, which is look back so we can move forward a little bit better. So that's why I want to introduce you to some of these spices. Here in the spice market in Marrakesh, it's world famous. It will be a great selection of spices from all over the world, and of course they're ones that are really used here. So I'm going to pick the ones that have the best scientific studies on them, but I also want to introduce you to this beautiful market here in Marrakesh, Morocco. All right, let's go find some spices. Almost every one of the areas that sells spices has these big stacks of spices that they've shaped up. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, you might have. Hello.
Hey! First spice is turmeric. This is what it looks like normally. It's in a root form, but they grind this up and it's yellow and it looks like this. And so this is really common in curries. It's also really well studied for its anti-inflammation properties. Now, the active ingredient in turmeric is curcumin. Because inflammation is one of the problems that leads to lots and lots of health problems, getting inflammation out of your body is really important. So the science is showing that it can block inflammation, probably by blocking some of these compounds. I'm not going to go into the full biochemistry here, but it's just fascinating that by reducing inflammation, you're going to be getting rid of a lot of health problems. It's also being potentially studied to treat Alzheimer's disease. This is what the plant looks like, with a special note from my ethnobotany professor 20 years ago.
Some argue that it's one of the most important medicinal plants in the world, not only today, but throughout history and even before written record.
Now here's one of the challenges with turmeric and curcumin in the body. It's not readily absorbed. You can actually increase that though by adding black pepper. Black pepper has in it piperine. It's a compound that does a couple of things in the body. First of all, it increases the absorption of curcumin in the gut. It also slows metabolism of curcumin in the liver. So both of those means it stays in the body longer and is absorbed better. In fact, the studies show that it can increase bioavailability by 2,000%, which is what you want if you're using turmeric. Now, ginger. This is ginger root. Ginger root usually comes from a plant that's about this tall in the Zingiberaceae family. The ginger that you get as a powdered form is right here. So you take that root and then you powder it up. It is related to turmeric. Now everyone knows the smell of ginger, but you don't always know what the plant looks like. Here in Hawaii, I used to lead ethnobotany tours. This is the plant and it has beautiful flowers. So if you live in Hawaii, you know the flowers, but most people don't. It's really good for nausea, motion sickness, and I suppose also morning sickness. Fresh ginger tea after a meal can really settle your stomach, and it also has antibacterial properties. And powdered ginger can help spice up curries, smoothies, or other baked goods. So think of ginger as a little bit of a comfort food and a natural medicine all wrapped into one.
3 spoonfuls of ginger in.
We are learning how to cook.
Learn how to make some awesome Moroccan food.
I want to show you a little bit about what are the spices that go into Moroccan dishes.
It's a generous amount of spice.
It is probably 5 times to 10 times more spice than I've ever used.
It gives it more flavor, yeah.
It's fascinating, this organization. It is a woman-led organization that's helping support and facilitate women getting into the workforce. It's kind of a neat little place here in Morocco that you could possibly visit if you came as well. And now we have fenugreek. These are small golden seeds and they're just slightly bitter, but they are packed with benefits. Now my wife used fenugreek when she had little kids. It was for helping lactation. So the studies show it can balance blood sugar and improve insulin sensitivity. In Morocco, they use it on breads. They also use it in teas. If you toast it, it has a slightly nutty or maple-like flavor. Cinnamon. This is cinnamon. So cinnamon actually comes from the bark of a tree. So you can see these are like little barks right there. You can grind that up and that's what turns into the cinnamon that you would use as a spice. I would often bring people to the cinnamon tree. I would take a piece of the bark and I'd say, here, smell this. And they were always so amazed because it's actually a decent sized tree. So the bark that you're getting here can then be ground up into powders. Now what's really cool about cinnamon is the medicinal benefits. First, it can lower blood pressure, it can improve insulin sensitivity, and it can even protect the heart. And like almost every single one of these, it's loaded in antioxidants, which allows you to deal with free radicals a little bit better. And this is probably important to note. You can overdo it on cinnamon, especially common cinnamon. It has this compound in it, and if you add too much of it, it can stress out your liver. So you guys gotta be careful with how much cinnamon you're using every day. What you got?
Yeah, this is the real cinnamon. It's from the desert.
One of these and just a little bit of that.
No problem, sir.
Cloves. These are cloves right here. They're the flowers of a tree. Cloves are really interesting because you can take a clove, and I used to do this on my tours. You can put it into your mouth and it will turn this part of your gum numb. So they often used it as a dental tool. Beyond that, clove can regulate your blood sugar, it can fight inflammation, and it's really good for digestion. So just 3 main things for that. Plus, I just love the flavor of cloves. So here in Morocco, they add it to lots of different things, rices, stews, sometimes ciders. They'll even add it to coffee. Quick coffee break. By the way, coffee is from this area of the world, Northern Africa. It's one of the things that is now spread across the world, and you can relate with almost every culture. In case you're wondering why I'm here in Morocco, it's in part because of my friend Andrew. He's a professor in Chicago, and he runs a behavioral research unit there looking at how to create habits. He also shares my view on benzodiazepines and how to get healthier by getting off of them.
Well, like many people, I travel a lot and I've struggled with sleep. And so I went to see a physician after some really tough travel experiences. jet lag and a little depression. And within 5 minutes, they gave me some benzos. I didn't know the name then. I just thought of them as sleeping tablets. And they worked. And so I continued to take them every time I would travel. What I didn't know is the extraordinary rebound insomnia that comes when you stop, the horrific withdrawal symptoms that you experience. And not a single medical professional that I spoke to said one word about be careful, how long you take them, when you get off, the need to titrate. And in the end, what I've discovered is they are temporarily a fix, but in the medium to long term, a trap. And so it's one of the reasons why I've turned to other ways to help me sleep and deal with stress, because benzos, as helpful as they are sometimes, can also be the devil.
I will talk more about pill culture and the problems it presents, but now back to the other spices. This is the powder of cumin right here. It comes from a plant that's in the parsley family. It's the seeds, and when you grind it up, you get that. It's also really good for digestion, and there's a lot of interesting scientific studies on it at the moment, but it's just a fantastic spice as well. It is a spice in almost every Moroccan dish. It's going to aid in digestion, it reduces bloating, and it is packed with iron. So one of the cool things I think about cumin is that it is antimicrobial, means it helps fight off bacteria. The next one is nutmeg. This is nutmeg, and you'll grind this up and put it on food. But this is how it comes. It's in a shell like this. And then there's another spice. This is mace, which goes around the nutmeg. So when I was a tour guide doing ethnobotany courses, we'd find these nutmeg plants, and they look a little bit like an apple. And inside, you have this little red material that goes around the nut, and then inside is nutmeg. And nutmeg, just a little bit will do you because it's a little bit hallucinogenic, so too much is actually toxic.
That's the first lesson, by the way, for all people, all students, is never eat any plant material unless you're absolutely sure that it's edible.
Paprika, that is this red powder. It is a vibrant powder that is made from these. These are peppers. So they'll take this and then they'll powder it, and you get paprika. Depending on which type you get, it can be either sweet or smoky or just really hot. That red flavor comes from the carotenoids. They're beta-carotene, lutein, that kind of thing. It supports eye health. It protects against cellular damage. It also contains capsaicin, which can rev up your metabolism and reduces inflammation. This, to me, is one of the most vibrant and pretty spices. It also has a very strong flavor. And now the legendary saffron, which is the world's most expensive spice.
The saffron flower. In your country, it's very expensive, but in Morocco, it's very cheap.
Now this plant comes from the crocus flower, which is one of the first flowers that pops up in spring. It's one of my favorite flowers. They're just little tiny, and if you don't look carefully, you'll miss them. They'll just right at ground level. And then what happens for saffron is you actually take the male parts, the anthers, out. That is considered by people here an aphrodisiac. Now the science is interesting. I don't know if I would say aphrodisiac per se, but it is a mood enhancer. In fact, it has antidepressant-like effects, and it can also help with anxiety. The science is also showing it can be helpful for boosting memory and potentially protecting your eyes. You can think of it like flavoring and medicine all wrapped into one. So there you have it. There's a few spices you can add into your life. I hope you do. And it's not just because they could have medicinal benefits. It's also because they're amazing. They'll add to your diet and spice things up in many ways. That is, of course, why I do it. I just see so many people who have terrible foods that they have in their life, and then they just mix in a bunch of medications to help them out. And I think there's a better way of doing it. The Stone Age man approach, of course, is fix your diet, exercise, and get nature immersion, find a community, find purpose in your life, and find awe. And those last three are why I'm here in Morocco. In fact, I'm with a group, Serenay, doing an elements program, which I think you too could benefit from. So I want you to check that out in the link down in the description. Here's a sneak peek of what I'm doing and I'm going to talk about next week.
Day one.
Serenay for me is the recipe for living a very full life. Whose watch are you really on?
And I'm going to try and be extraordinary, and I'm doing this for myself, for my girls, for all the people I know.
Now we're talking about the second step.
We need a recipe because life is short.
I can't wait to go in there and meet them.
Dance lesson.
It was amazing.
It's the way we get to explore all of our humanity instead of the accidental pathway from birth to death that many of us would follow if we just take instructions from society.
This is what it looks like to be a stand for you in the life that you have all said that you wish to create.
I think you might want to watch this one next. All right, we'll see you in the next one.